All right, so started the broadcast. So the first step, begin by asking a team member. So I guess I'm going to ask Jake this question. Imagine you are Merton and it's time for your 9 a.m. meeting with Tevens and Harris. What position would you advocate in that meeting?
Oh gosh. I'm trying to remember even what the meeting was. Good. Let me look. Sorry. I always read these on Monday or Tuesday, so it's always.
And then the next question, if you want to follow up with it, Jake, is how do you say it? Stefanik?
Oh, Stepan. I don't know. I think I know that one. That was the dismissal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I know about that.
So it says, what did he actually do, and how serious was the offense?
Well, that I don't think they really should have fired him, but I mean, from what I understood from it, he told someone to go out to a certain spot. The person, or Olson or whatever, ended up getting hurt, and then he ended up getting fired because I guess it's happened 3 other times with other employees where they've gotten hurt.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks that I don't think he should have been fired because I don't think that it's him directly that's causing the injuries. Maybe it's just the fact that they haven't been, the individual employees aren't careful. But I think it should be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. But I don't think he should have been fired because of someone else's, someone else getting hurt necessarily. Maybe, I don't know, the people that are doing the work, I think, should know what equipment is needed to do it safely. But I don't know, that's just me.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely could see why they did that, but I don't agree with why they fired him. It also says, is it all his fault? Obviously, you kind of talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
You guys think it's all Stepanik's fault?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, because we talked about how some people were like split in what they would abide by as far as policies went. So if that individual who got hurt wasn't abiding by policies when he got hurt, then it wouldn't all be the supervisor's fault.
So whose fault would it be? No one's? Or the person
I think it depends. I mean, I could see punishing Stepanik even because I can see why they're concerned with it happening 3 times, why they would want to terminate him to show this is important and you can't just not abide by it. But if the employees who are getting hurt are ones that are split and not abiding by things when these things are happening, and I feel like he shouldn't take the full brunt of everything, all the fault. I feel like it should be both of their responsibility, because he's supposed to make sure that they are doing what they need to be safe, but he shouldn't be fully liable about what they're doing in the moment if they aren't abiding by policy.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like when something happens, they have to like feel like they have to blame someone or something, They never want to just, I guess, especially the families of the person, they don't want to just hear that it's an accident. They want to know that they kind of would want to point a finger and say, no, it's his fault and it could have been avoided even if it wasn't his fault. Mm-hmm. It says, what message would firing Stefanik send? What do you guys think?
I think it's just the fact that they take safety very seriously and that it's not something that should be taken lightly. Even if it's not his fault directly, he wasn't thinking about safety first. I guess that would be the point I think they would be making.
So it would be a good point, I guess, as far as the company's viewpoint. It'd be kind of a positive thing that they take safety seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, but I don't agree with it.
Okay. What do you think, Kara? What message would it send?
I mean, I think it would send a message to the other supervisors, because he wasn't the only one who wasn't paying attention to safety issues. So if he gets fired, even though I don't agree, if he gets fired, it's kind of showing them like, hey, we're really serious about this. Like you all need to step up.
Yeah, that's the next question. You kind of went over it, Kara. But it said, would it be fair to fire Stefanik considering how other supervisors treat safety issues?
So I guess no,
I don't think
considering
so.
other people do the same thing.
I feel like it'd just be trying to make him an example, and which isn't fair to him if they're just basing it on trying to change other people. I mean, yeah, if he did, like, I could see like I said, punishing him, but if there was some fault on the individual side who got hurt, he shouldn't be fired, but be punished at least, if because it keeps occurring, because he's responsible for that person. So, but he can't take the complete blame if the person isn't willing to follow policy.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Part 2, it says, what does the data show? So this section, it's a little different. We're going to actually open up the reading and look at the data that's in there. I don't know if you guys saw, but at the end there's a chart. So we're going to divide into 3 different groups. So group 1, we'll do, I guess me and Jake can take group 1. 2 people have to be in group 1. Kara, you can be in group 2, and Michaela, you can be in group 3.
Okay.
So me and Jake, it says we're going to be looking at exhibits 3 and 7.
3 and 7.
So everyone find those.
Okay, I'm at 3.
So it says, okay. Jake, for exhibits 3 and 7, we have to divide the work's total number for each period by the total hours for the same period to figure out how many hours it takes to produce 1 ton of aluminum.
Okay.
And then group 2, Kara, you look at exhibit 5. Figure out which injury numbers are improving, going down, and which are going up. And then categorize the types of injuries that are improving and which ones are not. And then group 3, Michaela, look at exhibit 6.
Okay.
And then you're supposed to go through the sample injuries and look for some common themes and causes. And then answer the question, what can you learn about safety at Mission Valley from this list? Is that clear on everyone's part? So it says to give you guys 10 minutes to do this. I don't think we'll need that long, but I'll give you guys time to do this. And then we'll report.
So I have the discussion thing opened up. I don't know how they're getting 39.9 tons by dividing 185 by 7,400. That does not equal 39.9.
Yeah, I know that doesn't make any sense.
Divide the work's total.
I think they meant to, do you think they meant, what's 7.4? No, that wouldn't work either.
I think they switched the numbers. It's supposed to be the total numbers worked. That's the 39.9, but
Oh, I see.
But I think they said smaller number.
Yeah, that's weird. They totally messed that up.
Yeah, they totally screwed that up. So I don't know. Okay, whatever. I'll just do that anyway. So it's the first one's 39. looks like the trend's going down. It's taking less hours per ton.
So the productivity is going down.
Well, if it takes, so in the first one, so 1987, it took 39.9 hours per ton. The number of hours is going down, so it looks like they're being even more productive. I'm on the last two. Hold on. Except for the very last one. So in August of 1991, there's a constant trend of increasing productivity until the last one where their
Jake, what question
productivity
was I
is
supposed to
worse.
answer?
So you're supposed to look at Exhibit 6 and go
Yeah.
through the sample injuries, look for common themes. What can you, just answer the question, what can you learn about safety from this list at Mission Valley?
Okay.
And then just let me know when all you guys are done with this little activity thing.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I guess we'll start with Jake. Like what'd you figure out from, I guess, dividing those two numbers?
Well, the productivity is actually increasing. So the hours per ton are actually going down. So it started off at like 39.9 hours per ton of production. And then by the time it got to the end, so a few years later, so let me look at that, what that date was. So in like 1991, from 1987 to 1991, productivity was actually increasing. And at 1991, it was like 32 hours per ton. So as they increased safety, the only difference was August of 1991, where productivity went down, so they were getting worse. But that was by 2 hours. It took them 34 hours per ton. But still, general downward trend.
Yeah.
Upward trend of productivity.
Yeah. So in the leadership discussion, it says that group one, we should have found that as safety goes down, the number of hours to produce a ton also goes down. So as safety goes down, productivity goes down. As safety improves, over the long run, productivity also improves.
Mm-hmm.
Which this honestly surprised me. I thought as safety goes up, I thought productivity would get worse because you have to, I guess, make sure you're doing things safe and do things slower. Are you guys surprised that they stay together?
I was surprised at first, but now that I get to thinking about it, as you are taking more precaution, doing your job, you're probably more focused for one. So I don't know, that's probably one part. And then the other part during the reading, I guess, machinery lasts longer. It doesn't take as long to fix it. Everything's a lot more reliable. So that saves time from having to fix mistakes.
Yeah, I was thinking about when you do something wrong and then you have to redo it, it takes way longer.
Mm-hmm. So I think by increasing safety, you're more focused on what you're doing and you're not making as many mistakes.
Yeah.
I also think about how the safety that they're considering too is like the major cases where people have to go in and have a doctor look at them, and that takes time from labor. that would decrease productivity. So if you think about it, I can see why having a safer environment would increase productivity, because you don't have as many people who are having to go and get checked for injuries and have injuries looked at and fixed and all that.
Okay. Kara, what did you find from your little like activity thing?
So I found that most of the injuries are improving, so they're having less injuries overall. But some of the ones that are still kind of high or increasing are ones where they failed to secure the equipment, or the equipment was used unsafely, or they were in the wrong position.
Okay.
And then
So it was something that like, I guess on this one for yours, Kara, it says that the problems that can be solved by spending money have mostly been solved.
mm-hmm.
So pretty much like what they could have done, they have done. So the safety issues now are just, I guess, people's decisions, right? No matter how much you spend on money, if someone wants to do something dumb, you can't really stop them, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's their own choices. So it's just like being unsafe and not listening. Just, being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. Michaela, what are, I guess, what do you find from the looking at what are you supposed to do? So I guess you're just supposed to say, what can you learn about safety at Mission Valley from the list?
So like themes I saw was people losing their footing and just having like clumsy things happen, like something slipped and or stuff like that, carelessness, clumsiness, that kind of a thing. There also seemed to be a little bit of issues with close quarters, but they can't really, the way that the factory is, I don't think they can fix that just because of the way the process is. Like the close quarters, low walls, so you can reach up, that kind of thing. But it seemed like cleanliness and the facilities are causing issues, but it's also due to like people being clumsy and careless too. Because if you're being careless, then the place is not as clean. Because if you're not going to clean up after yourself, that kind of a thing, and then being clumsy with tools.
Yeah, so yours and Kara's were kind of like human error, right? They can't really it's not an easy fix. You can't just spend money. It's people need to be more careful. And that leads us to the next question. Which type of problem is easier to solve? The ones that are expensive or the ones that involve people's behavior?
I think the expensive ones, because people are going to still make stupid decisions no matter what.
Right.
Yeah. Humans aren't perfect, so there's always going to be issues on the human factor. Whereas, like, you can spend money on permanent things like facilities and stuff that will last, will have a better effect.
Yeah, exactly. You can always, any amount of money you can spend and solve that issue, but the other issue is ongoing forever. So that brings us to step 4, Mission Valley past success versus future challenges. So Jake, what has Mission Valley done in the past to improve its safety record so much that they have so few injuries compared with other similar companies?
Well, they've spent more money. I think after the death, they spent like $4 million. And that brought up the safety and also brought up productivity. They also slowed down the forklifts. So instead of going 10, 15 miles an hour, they're only limited to, I think, 4 miles an hour was what it was. That also increased productivity and safety. I think that was a big thing. And then another thing that they did was I don't know what the critical behavior inventory, where they have basically an observer, a trained observer, kind of watch what you do to make sure that you have good practices, and they write an evaluation and then they send it to the supervisor to give an evaluation of how conscious that person is. Even though they're on their best behavior, it's still I still think it helped in that case. And I'm trying to think what else they've done. I think those were the main things. I mean, they do have a committee, so they bring workers and supervisors on, so that way they can go through different things that could be fixed with money, I feel like, and also behaviors as well that are starting to pop up, I guess.
So do you think if they continue to do those things that the safety will get better and better? When do you think it'll kind of plateau out?
I honestly think that once they've spent so much money on the equipment and safety, so things that actually cost money that doesn't involve human error, then that's when safety is going to cap out, because you can only prevent so many people from doing stupid things. So once the behavior is something that they have to deal with, then I think the safety is just going to either, I wouldn't say cap out, but it's going to vary very little. So.
Okay. All right, Kara, what are some of the dangers or challenges that they face in the future?
I think they're just going to have to deal with people still making stupid decisions. Like, they've improved as much as they can, but then people, when they're not being watched, are still going to make bad decisions. I think that's like their biggest challenge, because you can't.
How do you like convince people to behave, or I guess make smarter decisions? Yeah, behave differently so they don't get hurt. Like, how do you convince people to be mindful of that?
I don't know, I guess they're trying to fire that supervisor to make a statement, or they could do something along those lines to show that they mean it. It's a real serious thing for them.
What would you
Taking an action
implement
like that.
if it was like your business and you saw that you've already spent all the money you could spend, and the only thing left to do, I guess, is just, it's all just human error, and that's why they're getting hurt? Like, what would you implement to motivate the workers to be safer?
I don't know, maybe like I'm trying to think, like a warning system, I guess. Like, maybe you,
Throw some signs up there.
what's it called? Yeah, well, like that, and then like, what is it, like thing, like if you've done it a certain amount of times, maybe,
Okay.
and like just have your behavior watched more. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that, along with maybe, I don't know, holding like classes, or so like the next question is, what can we learn from the incident with the forklift speed limit? Michaela, what do you think? Like, what do we learn from the forklift speed limit?
Well, at first people were against them decreasing it, but when they realized, like afterwards, after the long run, they realized that it was beneficial, and they saw the benefits of it. And but at first they complained, and I think part of it is because they don't really understand the risks. Because I mean, yeah, they had the one fatality, but I feel like some of them aren't thinking seriously enough as far as their attitude about the environment they're working in and the dangers of it. And so I feel like if they had a more realistic, like if you told them things that could happen if they were to not abide by the policies, like, so the forklift one ended up increasing their productivity. They thought it would decrease it, and they were worried about like being made fun of probably from other departments. Whereas I think if they but since they did it as a whole, like the whole facility did it, and so just one department, I think that was good, because it showed everyone has to abide by it, and it's serious enough that everybody needs to be safe to do this.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys always follow safety procedures? I mean, like Michaela said, they need to understand the danger of it, right? So if we all understood the danger or the seriousness of all the safety procedures we have, we would obey all of them, of course, but we forget. Like, do you guys text while you drive? Or do you guys always wear your seatbelts right when you get in your car? Or do you like sometimes Are you outside of the crosswalk when you're crossing the street a little bit? Or just all these little safety precautions that we sometimes break because we forget the seriousness of, I guess, the consequences that 1 in a million that does, get hurt doing them. So I guess that was a follow-up question. Do you guys always follow all safety procedures?
No.
Not always. I think it depends. I think the driving one, I used to. I don't know. When I first got my license, I was pretty crazy at driving.
Did you always go the speed limit?
I go a little bit over. It depends on. I normally don't go 10 over.
If you're driving a forklift, would you go the speed limit?
No, I actually used to work a job where I did a forklift job, and I would never go the speed limit. I think I always got in trouble for that. But
what was your forklift speed limit?
I can't even remember, to be honest. We didn't have. Maybe we did have
It was like 5 miles an hour.
No, I think it was 7. I want to say it was 7 miles. Yeah, it was a big warehouse we worked at, and they were just rows of stuff. And so our job was to actually, so the Dollar Tree, so like the dollar store, I used to work at their warehouse. And so we would collect all the things that store needed. We'd put it on a pallet, and then we would put it in the trucks. So we had to go down like these aisles and pick like all the different items and stuff. So by the time we got it all done, then we had to drop it off. So whenever I was dropping things off or trying to find the start of my aisle, I would always speed just to get there, because I'm like, well, I have no reason to go slow, because you were timed, because you had to get so many boxes per hour, I think is what it was.
Oh, dang.
So yeah, we had a quota we had to meet, so I was never going the speed limit. I was more worried about my quota.
Yeah, so the productivity would have went down if you followed safety procedures.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks for the comments. So second to last thing on the list, it says, do you guys remember Linda's plan for 1992?
I'll be honest, I don't.
Does anyone?
I kind of do. It was like a dinner, like having rewards for people who followed the thing, and and improving like the committees and training, I think, something like that. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it says, let me see if I can find it. It says that there was a list of things, and we're supposed to see which of things would help the company and which wouldn't.
I know one of them was like monitoring the implementation of the new, like, what they came up with to fix the safety issue. The big thing, I can't remember what it was. Was it the falling issue? The falling.
Was that the 8-step process?
I think so.
They had I think it was monitoring a new thing they had in place to see if it was effective. And rewarding and training and rewarding good behavior. And they were going to have newsletters.
So what do you think
That's
she
what I
can
have in
add
my notes.
to her plan? What would you guys add to Linda's plan for 1992?
I think they should consider not just having the rewards, but the punishments for those who violate policies, and have it be dependent on what policies they're violating. So like if it's a more serious procedure or policy that they're violating, then have it be a more serious punishment, if that makes sense. That way they can realize it's something that you need to have in your attitude, and to realize the reason why it's there is for your safety.
Yeah, I like that. Have the seriousness of what they're doing, have it different for everything, so it's not just the same across the whole board. Anyone else have any ideas on what they should add to her plan?
Oh, I found her plan. It's Exhibit 11. If anyone wants to.
Exhibit 11.
Yeah, it's down at the bottom.
Yeah, there we go. Is there any anything on this list that's like you would take off? You would just completely eliminate?
I don't know if I'd eliminate it, but I don't think any of those workers are going to read newsletters. They're freaking manly people that don't care about their safety in general. Why in the heck are they going to read a newsletter?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think training would be more effective than a newsletter.
Yeah, making
Totally.
them sit down in a meeting, and no one's going to read a newsletter. Maybe the supervisors would read a newsletter, but not the actual workers. I think that's total crap.
They're
but-
about
Yeah. They'd rather be tough. They're not going to read.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that newsletter one. The rest seem like it would be effective. Improving safety committee conducts stage 3 training.
Mhm.
Meet with superintendents on a monthly basis to review safety performance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think what else. I don't know. I feel like there should be more after step 6, because it's just like, so she has this plan of, okay, meet with the superintendents on a monthly basis to review the safety performance, and then what? They talk
Yeah,
their numbers, and then it's like, should they get rewarded? I felt like, well, going back to the company that I used to work for, each department got certain awards based off of either their, like, whether their performance was the best. They got bonuses on top of it based off of their performance. I think some sort of reward system should be there for safety performance, whether it's like just a longer break, something little, because we know that cash won't do anything, but maybe just getting, like, instead of a 15-minute break, maybe they get, a 20-minute break, instead. I don't know, for safety. Having the best safety of them all.
How do you measure that though? Like, is it just, oh, everyone was safe today, nothing happened, everyone gets a break?
Well, amount of
And
safety.
then someone shouts out, no, I saw him doing this, he doesn't get his break.
Well, it could be off the
He was running
evaluations that they
too
do, the
fast.
critical performance evaluations. They could see, so let's see, I guess they have a
That's
paper.
true. In the evaluations, they could, I guess, evaluate how each individual's been doing on safety.
Yeah, just in that department. I'm sure they have to do it for a certain number of people in the department. I don't know if they do everyone, but whoever has the best overall. I mean, that's even people on their best behavior, that, whether they're safe or unsafe, I guess, so to speak, whatever one scored the highest would get.
Yeah.
At least they would be thinking about it more, saying, hey, I'm going to be extra safe, while I'm just being, even though it's just while they're being supervised. I think the point is that it's on their mind. If it's on their mind all the time, it shouldn't be that hard for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, mention it enough to where they can't say, hey, I didn't know, or I never heard anything about that.
Right. And those that don't care about the safety are just not going to care about a 15-minute break, but it's not going to kill the company. I feel like it's a small enough motivation, kind of going off of that video we watched. It's not a ginormous reward, but it's enough to motivate people, I feel like.
Yeah. All right, so ask your team to brainstorm ideas for how to change culture and attitudes about safety at Mission Valley. And then I like this follow-up question. You ask whether the fact that almost everyone in the whole town works at Mission Valley, if this creates any opportunities. So do you think that creates any extra opportunities, that the fact that the whole town works at Mission Valley?
I think it does, just because you can persuade them by saying, we want to keep your family safe, and we want to keep you safe and your friends safe. And in order to do that, and to keep you safe and keep some serious accidents happening, you need to have a more serious attitude towards safety. Something like that, because if they realize that they want to help, if they pull in that, like, emotional element of connecting it to the family and their friends, they realize, I feel like they'll connect more with why it's so important. because and realize in the big picture they're wanting to help them return to their families in one piece. Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just thinking about how if the whole town really works there, they can even start implementing safety stuff in the community, knowing that it's basically, well, as you improve the safety in the community, you're also improving at the workplace because everyone works there, you know?
Mhm.
And then the last one is, are there ways to improve the community or the families in this town?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say whether it's dinners, like doing like just a tour of the factory or something like that, where they can invite their families to just come and just visit and, you know, go over maybe some of the highlights of the company, some just little things. I feel like if the whole town works, you know, if we were saying that the whole town works there, do like an open house type of deal, I guess, so to speak. That's one way to get the community involved.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up. And then the step 5, ask what you liked about this case, what you learned from it, and how you'd, I guess, apply it to your future workplace. Start with Jake, and then Kara, and then Michaela. So what did you learn from this?
I mean, I learned that safety first, being more safe, slow and steady wins the race, basically. That even though you are being more safe, you can increase productivity. You know, trying to relate that to a workplace, you know, so a dental office is, I guess, what I'm looking at doing, obviously. I don't really know. I mean, I know that there's procedures on like cleaning the different instruments and things like that and being careful with those. And being, you know, patients with like AIDS or any other, you know, infection along those lines. That's really all what I can think of. So I don't really know how this lesson specifically applies to that, other than just slow and steady wins the race. So for safety.
Okay. What'd you learn, Kara?
I learned just how important it is to follow the safety procedures. Like they're there for a reason, and that it's going to protect you in the long run. And then you should also just try to make like smart decisions as a human being, so you don't have human error, but it happens. So.
What'd you learn, Michaela?
I would say like just how there's only so much you can do to change the safety of what like material things, but you have to also change the mindset and attitudes of people. It's never going to be never going to have a perfect record probably because there's human error and human mistakes, but helping people understand safety and have a better attitudes towards being safe is essential, because even if you implement safety procedures and stuff, it won't do a lot of good unless people are willing to abide by them and to follow them.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's pretty much what I learned. I just learned that no matter how much money you spend, you'll never have 100% safety free because people are involved. And so you just have to try to, I guess, remind them, constantly so they're aware that just because the company's doing what it can, they can still get hurt if they choose. And then I guess we'll start with Jake, and then Jake, just say what you liked, didn't like, and then rate the discussion.
I thought it flowed really well. I'd give it a 10. I think it was good. I think we had lots to talk about.
All right, Kara.
Oh, I agree. I think the discussion went really well. We got into some good details. I'd give it a 10.
Thanks,
10.
Michaela.
I think 10. I think we went and we didn't dwell on something for too long, and we just moved discussion along. We were able to cover what we needed to.
All right, thanks. Any last comments?
I think that's good. Probably just need